All right, so I have a new topic today. It's your favorite anime operator who loves anime and military video games. Speaking of the military, there are two gotcha games that I play and love. One of them is Honkai Star Rail, and the other one is Arknights. Now, they both tackle strategy in a unique way. Unfortunately, we're not here to talk about Arknights, but I would love to go on for hours and hours about that game because I still love it to this day. We're here to talk about a topic recently brought up by the Honkai Star Rail community, and that is power creep. Recently, Tectone hosted a video with MrPokke and Saintontas as the centerpiece of it, and their argument was about the power creep, whether or not it was a problem. So, not that it existed, but whether or not it was an issue for the player base. And MrPokke had some interesting takes. Saintontas had some interesting takes. They both really had a nice civil conversation, to be honest, and got some points across. I still don't think anyone got anywhere, though, with the entire conversation. So before I move on, we'll go over some basics. The term power creep sounds exactly like what it is. It's not too complicated, but in the video game context, this is where I'm going to go with it. So I think the best example I can use is a game like Call of Duty, right? Or even Genshin, where they'll introduce a new update to a character or to the patch where they buff or nerf something, and the new item outperforms that character or item, and that is essentially what a power creep is in a game. So, for even more simplicity, let's say you have a spear, like called Dragon Spear, and the new update comes out, and there's something called the Serpent Spear. But now your Dragon Spear is outperformed by the Serpent Spear, but you cannot play the game now because the enemy you have to fight requires you to basically have the Serpent Spear to kill the boss efficiently in the right manner so you can get all the rewards, right? But the Dragon Spear is just not going to let you do that because the Serpent Spear is so much better, and maybe the mechanics of the game, they reduce the time limit so that it's basically impossible for you to do it with the other spear. Hopefully that made sense. If it doesn't, I don't have any more examples right now, but you can look it up online. Power creep is a real thing. It's happened in Destiny 2. It happens all the time in Call of Duty. People really like their new stuff. They get FOMO'd into buying things for their game, and you get FOMO'd because these tools or these game mechanics, these weapons, these characters are essentially effective past the point of like they are beyond effective essentially. They're overkill compared to what you used to have. And if you're still running the old set, you're running your old weapons, old characters, you are not going to win the way you should be winning in the game. Fundamentally, using one of Asmongold's points, you're meant to win the game. It's programmed for you to win. The enemy is basically there for you to just beat up as a punching bag. So when you disturb that by putting in some kind of artificial blockage, like not being able to pull a character because you're out of star gems or whatever they're called. I'm downloading it right now again. I forgot what they're called. Stellar jades. So that's basically what I would call an artificial block or blockage of your progress to beat up said enemy. Or, end game content like a boss, which is pretty ridiculous for a strategy game. But the key point to take away from this is that it's got gotcha in the front, no matter what. If you have a banner, if you have a pull system, if you have a gambling mechanic, it's gotcha. You are losing right out of the gate before you even press download. For me, I could just step away from these games and say, I'm going to play a real RPG strategy game like Fire Emblem, or I'm going to go play Final Fantasy, the old games like 9 and 7, 8, whatever I want to do. But the truth is, these characters are pretty, right? They're hot. They have really nice features on them. If you get the character, you get to brag about it online. And I think that's really the experience people are looking for, not necessarily the combat or to win every single round of Star Rail. But the thing is, they want to win, plus they want to brag. So obviously, they go hand in hand. You have the new character, you get to brag about winning. You get to brag about having the new character because they're so cool looking, right? Now, I would say that has nothing to do with power creep, but it actually does. At least if we're talking about the gotcha space, because even in Arknights, a new unit will come out, or a very strong unit from before will come back around on the banner, and everyone is pulling for that thing. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants that unit, right? So if you pull for the unit, you're more likely to get the unit. And once you have the unit, it's like, oh, thank God, I can clear the content I want to clear faster. And if not, like I said, it's a battle of the waifu game. Which waifu do you want? Which husbando? You know, it's a different meta for each person, but the meta for me is to get the characters that I like and want. And sometimes that includes meta, sometimes not. I just like how pretty the characters look. I do like clearing content, but I usually look up a strategy or a farm guide for like how do I use lesser characters to get through this. Now, you can do that in Arknights, but in Honkai Star Rail, it's a problem. It's getting less and less likely that your base team that you just like is going to clear end game content or future content where they have something called HP bloat, which basically means, like I said, the enemy gets stronger, the weapons and characters get stronger, but if you don't have them in a gotcha game where you have to spend money basically to get them, you're kind of out of luck. You don't have what it takes to get from point A to point B with your units if you're not smart about pulling characters. Which that was one of MrPokke's points. He's saying you're not smart if you're pulling every banner, if you're getting greedy with it. But the patches happen so frequently or so fast, I think, with the power creep, that there's not much you can do besides save up your money or save up your stellar jades for really important moments, and that's not always plausible because the new unit coming out seems like they're either a support you need or they're a DPS you need. That or you're just SOL, like I said. I'm very much a strategist, so I'm like a don't complain kind of person, sorry. And it really hurts my ego when a character is stopping me, not pulling a character is stopping me from winning a battle, because I'm just like, well, I've done everything I can do. I've strategized countless times. I've played this 50 times. I still can't win. What's wrong? And it's not me. It's the game, or it's the fact that I just didn't pull the right character at the right time, and it's causing trouble, it's causing issues. It's getting in my way because I didn't spend money or I didn't pull on the most newest character. Like I said, having said that, I really am not a complainer, and I wouldn't complain about this stuff if there were workarounds, which sometimes there are in Star Rail. It depends on the battle itself, depends on what your goal is, what you're trying to do, what you're aiming for. Early game, I don't have a problem with strategizing without newer characters. And full transparency, I'm not even done with the story yet, the main campaign. So I mainly just do events if I can. I earn Stellar Jades through those. And sometimes I build my characters. That's pretty much the extent of my playtime on Honkai Star Rail. So take whatever I say with a grain of salt when it comes to endgame. But I see people having a problem, and I wanted to speak up about it because I know that multiple people having a grievance doesn't necessarily equate to the truth, but it does equate to a topic worthy of discussion, and I think people can have different opinions about Endgame. And my opinion right now is I agree with the people because they're the ones being very vocal about the fact that Endgame is hard and it's really power creeping their units to where it's uncomfortable for them to play the game. Also, I know I did make some claims about power creep in other games. If you have an issue with that or want to correct me, go ahead and put that down in the comments or ask me a question about how that came to be, how these games are being power crept as well. But there's also just a lot of legitimacy I see in the Star Rail community. They haven't really let me down too much in terms of the truth. Usually they're really right on track, they're right on point with their discussion topics and in their issues they're having with the game. And between the MrPokke and Saintontas debate, I tend to lean towards more of what Saintontas is saying than MrPokke, but I think they both have valid points and they're on the money in their own ways, and I don't think either one of them are wrong, but I do think that there's this kind of ego check people want from them, and they want like a conclusion to the debate to where it's like one of them's more right than the other, but that's not how debates work. It's very simple. MrPokke has good points. Saintontas has good points. They are both right on the money when it comes to talking about the game. You can enjoy the game without worrying about power creep too much, and you can be dissatisfied with the game because the power creep is so bad and abhorrent for certain characters. So they're both right. I don't have an issue with either of them. I think Saintontas has a legitimate overall point, like a bigger picture point. MrPokke has more of a basic, it's this way kind of point. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I feel. So it's just my opinion. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. You're not, I'm not entitled to you agreeing with me. You can do whatever you want in the comments. So thanks for watching. I think that'll be it for me because I'm clearly running out of things to say. My mouth is getting all stuttery, and I'm very, very much rambling. So I will see you in the next video.
If you try, you just might get